My name is Ayotomi Shoyege. I'll be your moderator for today. For today's first median diaspora trust that is organized by Cedrus Trustees Limited. I hope we all heard that. With me is my boss, the MD of Cedrus Trustees, Mr. Busayo Adeniyi, the head of trust, Madam Monisola Folorisho, and the head of private trust, Mr. Ekundayo Folorisho also. And before we go on, I would like to talk about CTL, which is an abbreviation of Cedrus Trustees Limited. We are a subsidiary of Cedrus Group Africa. We are a Pan-African industry organization, and we are geared towards ensuring that our clients' wealth are properly managed. And with this, we have been recognized by BAFI, in which we have won an award for 2 and we would like to tell you that you are in good hands when it comes to diaspora trust, and we would be able to guide you. And when you subscribe, you would see our effectiveness in our wealth.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Olubusaya Adeniyi. Thank you very much for joining this platform this evening to actually have some sort of education or more knowledge about diaspora trust. Like my colleague Ayotomi has actually mentioned, Cedrus Trustees Limited is a member of the Cedrus Group Africa. We are licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission in Nigeria to actually practice trusteeship in all its areas. And one of the key areas where we actually major our operation is the private trust and then the wealth management. And under this is where we have this product called Diaspora Trust. And we deem it fit that is very important to actually include in our bucket of service people in the diaspora. We actually have buckets of products through which we service our clients. And part of our intention is to actually drive diaspora investment in Nigeria and to actually lay to rest the fear that people have had in coming back home to actually have good investment. We know that in the world in which we are today, it is very, very difficult to trust. But while we'll actually make known to you today more knowledge about diaspora trust, we're going to actually let you know that institutions that are licensed actually given the capability or the strength to be able to actually lay to rest every form of fear or disappointment. And within our space, we have experts who have actually been tested and trusted over the years. I myself, leading the team, have actually spent 34 good years in the financial services industry in Nigeria, which most part of it has been in the trusteeship environment. I've worked in large corporations, and with members of the team, we've actually been involved in so many of the big corporations in Nigeria. Key examples, Stanbic IBTC, UBA, Union Bank, and the rest of it. But here where we are today as Cedrus trustee is to actually bring to bear our expertise, which we have actually gathered over the years to service you and to actually encourage you bringing investment into Nigeria with the multiple opportunities that are available here. So I wish you all the best as we all listen tonight. And I'm inviting us to join the wagon of those that are actually been benefiting from the wealth of knowledge of our team in Cedrus Trustees Limited. So thank you very much for joining and happy listening. Thank you.
And I would like to invite Mr. Ekundayo to start this topic and give us a plain understanding of what diaspora trust means. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And once again, I welcome everybody to the first of the kind on Diaspora Trust. My name is Sekundayo Folorosho Festus. How will be the speaker on it? Why question and answer will be taken by other panelists members. So basically, in the world, the times trust has been defined by a lot of writers, and so also dictionary equally define what a trust is. So today I will be speaking on a trust as a platform to build generational wealth. Diaspora trust, a platform to build generational wealth. A trust is a legal arrangement by someone, by a party known as a settlor to a trustees who owns the asset on trust for the benefit of the listed beneficiaries. So, and basically, there's one unique thing about a trust. There's always three fiduciary parties to a trust. And the fiduciary parties to a trust are known as a settlor, beneficiary, and a trustees. So let me briefly elucidate on the terms of these three parties to a trust. A settlor or a grantor is the one who decided to create a trust. He is the owner of the property. He is the brain behind the setting up of a trust. He is the one who decided to give his assets and equally part of all his liability as well to the trustees to hold in trust for his benefit and the benefit of his listed beneficiary. Who is a trustee? A trustee is CTL, that is Cedrus Trustees Limited. We are a trustees, a bona fide trustees. We have the expertise, we have the experience, we are knowledgeable enough, we've been around for years, and we are capable to oversee the assets of our settlor. And the assets that we are going to hold in trust is for the benefit of the third party, which happens to be the beneficiaries to a trust. Who is a beneficiary? Anybody listed by the settlor in a trust deed is titled to be called or worthy to be called a beneficiary. Let me briefly elucidate. A trust does not exist in a vacuum. There must be an intention towards it, which is why we decided that, okay, the three beneficiaries are very key and they must be present. And one good thing I want the listeners to understand this moment is that the settlor or the grantor that set up a trustees is the first or primary beneficiary to a trust. He owns the properties. The properties is only being held on trust by the trustees. However, he remains the primary beneficiary to that trust. And the listed beneficiaries in his lifetimes remain as secondary beneficiaries. So whatever that has been held on trust by the trustees is for the enjoyment of the settlor who decided to take up a trust activities. And there's one key thing I would love to speak on. That is what we call a trust deed. The trust deed is a legal document that establishes a trust. Without a trust deed, there won't be anything like a trust because that is the legal document that consists of the objectives of the trust. It is the trust deed that that will enable the settlor and the trustees to understand fully their key functions. Through this trust deed, the trustees will know that, okay, these are the main reason why these properties have been entrusted to me, and also the settlor will equally know that, oh, these are the terms and conditions agreed with the trustees. And upon the demise of the settlor, basically the beneficiary also who as well makes use of the trust deed to forge ahead to ensure that the trustees carry out their assignment as stipulated in the trust deed. Why are we talking about the diaspora trust today? We just have to, because a lot of people take advantage of those abroad. A lot of people use those that are abroad to just to take advantage of them in order for them to just use them to amount their own wealth. We've seen a lot of scenarios whereby people in abroad continue to lament on what they intend to achieve. There was a particular time I saw a video going on viral when a man was just there, he was lamenting seriously. The man said a certain amount of money was being given to a particular estate company for them to sell to him a certain plot of land and in order for him to build. But unfortunately, the money was somehow being diverted because obviously the man was lamenting, shouting the name of the estate company. But lo and behold, I'm very, very sure that it only go viral without much knowledge or without anything actually being done. So basically, this diaspora trust enable Nigeria abroad to invest way back here in Nigeria. It allow you to set up your estate. You could actually set up your estate with a diaspora trust and you have a better assurance that the estate will be properly being run by the listed trustees. So also it allow you to invest in Nigeria. You could as well invest in dollar, you can invest in pounds, and if you so desire, you can place your investment in naira in as much as pleases you. So what that implies is that it gives assurance to as many that are in diaspora to invest way back here in Nigeria. So like I rightly said, this trust is specially designed for Nigeria in diaspora, and it can also be used for the execution of some certain projects or investment in Nigeria. Some times ago, I recall there was a particular time one of my clients had to put a call to me upon the completion of his trust deed, and he informed me of some activities going on his project. Basically, the man owns a site, and the site has been constructed, and the construction is for an event hall. And lo and behold, his elderly sister decided on his own to use part of the land to sell cement. And this man complained to me. When he complained to me, and I told him, I said, what do you want us to do? He said, for over years before giving the properties to trustees, the elder sisters has been using the portion to sell cement there. So look, when he notified me, I told him, I said, since the trustees has come on board, that he should not worry. We know how to go about it. So we switched to action. We went to the location. We had discussion with the woman, and I explained this to the woman. And along the line, the woman decided to query by saying that the property actually belongs to his younger brother. He can do whatever he feels like with the properties. So we decided to go more professional, and in a very short time, she had to pack her belongings and leave the place. And I equally told him, and I told him, I said, see, if you persist or you continue to allow this your sister to make use of the place, if the eventuality happens to you, you will discover that your own children might not have the power to lay a total claim on the property because she would have been more familiar with that portion of land. And in as much as she's familiar with that portion, she could easily lay a claim on it before you know. So what are the features of a trust? One good thing about a trust is that a trust is always a relationship. It's a cordial relationship between the settlor, the trustees, and the beneficiary. It's always cordial. I remember there was a particular customer that we set up his trust, and I think a few months after setting it up, the elderly man put a call to me. He invited me to join him to the wedding ceremony of his son at, I think it was at Anambra. So I go through my calendar and I discovered that the day was a bit free for me. So I decided to embark on the trip. And lo and behold, on getting to the venue for the wedding event, the man started introducing me to his in-laws. And it was like, not only that he's here, he's also here with his trustees. And they were like, oh, interesting. And they will be willing to know more about trustees. which by his grace I was able to let one or two of them understand what trustees stand for and the importance of the trustees. So after the event, we returned back to Lagos, and the man now called our trust company to come together and have a meeting with him and his listed beneficiary. We had a meeting, and after the meeting, he said he would love to put the trust into action. That fine, all his assets are with us, the funds are with us, and every other things. We want to see how it actually works. And I told him, and I said, okay, you can do that by giving us an instruction to carry out on your behalf. And I think it was around the vesting period then. So the man decided to give us an instruction to credit a certain amount of money to his listed beneficiary, which was carried out less than 48 hours. Upon execution, he was extremely pleased, and he decided to forge ahead. And I think another thing that he decided to do then was that he gave an instruction that we should also secure a particular plot of land and a block of platform, which we did, and everything was being perfected with preparation of a supplemental trust deed. So when this man saw this action, he was that pleased, and he said now he knows that even if he's no longer alive, things will work out fine. And I want to put to you another features of it is that it involves the existence of equitable duties imposed upon the holder of the title to deal with for the benefit of another. And lastly, it arises as a result of manifestation of an intention to create the relationship. One thing I want you to know is that a trust does not occur in vacuum. There must be an intention behind it. So the real intention, is the intention that we stipulate the objective of the trust. And basically, these key features of a trust are reason why we keep telling people that it is advisable for you to take up a trust for yourself. And let me briefly speak on the benefit of a trust. Trust is a confidentiality in existence. One good thing about it is that whatever information provided by the settlor to the trustees are meant to be kept in the confidential way. Regardless of pressure, regardless of the society pressure, we as the trustees, we know how to manage things, and we ensure that whatever that has been given to us or been entrusted to the trustees are properly managed. Another good thing is that there is always a pre-agreed investment template. Let's say, for instance, a settlor has some funds with the trustees, and let me just say, for example, let's say the sum of 10 million naira is being given to the trustees to manage. And at the initial stage, we both parties agree that this 10 million naira is meant to yield, let's assume 10% per annum, which is just 1 million naira per annum. It is the duty of the trustees to keep to that, and more so at adequate time. If the economy of the nation change more better, we have the privilege as well to encourage the settlor, as we definitely have to review the rate. And another good thing about it is that it is the return on the investment is competitive. Yes, as a trustees, the regulatory body is SEC, and we are only permitted to invest in secured instrument alone. But however, we could invest your fund and still ensure that despite the fact that we invested in a secured instrument, we generate or accrued interest for the funds under management. And another good thing about trust is that there is always a mandate for the trustees to provide either quarterly or biannual or annual report to a settlor. It is mandatory. You just have to provide necessary information to keep your settlors abreast. So, and another good thing about it, which is regarding the property. For real estate investment, land purchasing or building construction, as the trustees, we have the capacity to supervise your landed property, your construction, and every other thing that has to do with the accredited business. So, more so, professional management and guidance of achieving your trust objective. It is one of our key activities. We have professionals that have worked in the trust industries for years. As I speak to you, I've amounted over 13 years in the trust business. So professionally, we could sit down, we have the ability to structure things out for our settlers. And we tell them how things will be run in order for them to continue to expand their wealth. And another good thing is that when the management of the trust asset during the lifetime of the settler and in the case of the eventuality, that simply means that in the lifetime of the settler, the trustees are there to protect the interests of the settler. And when the settler is no longer alive, we will surely continue to ensure that the property is well managed. And another good thing about it is that it enables you to hedge against the devaluation of the currency where it is also FX denominated, which simply means that a settler can invest in pounds, in dollar, and at any time he or she call for his fund, he will definitely get the fund in the same denomination. The trustees does not have the power to break your investment, neither have the power to convert your dollar investment to naira. There must be an agreement between the trustees and the settler before anything is being carried out. And one good thing about it is that it provides a tax effective structure for the settler, and also it enables the settler to take necessary opinion on relevant issue. It is easy to set up. It is something that you can do within 1 week to 2 weeks as pleasing the settler in as much as the settler provided the necessary information. And finally, permit me to briefly speak on the fees of the trustees. One good thing about the trustees is that we charge two fees. The very first one we charge, it is known as a setup fee. We are going to charge our clients what we call a setup fee. The setup fee is charged based on the drafting of the trust deed. So for every trust that comes to place, there is always a trust deed that guide. And one thing about the trustees is that it is the legal document that spells out the objective of the trust. And at the annual anniversary of the trustees, we equally have the power or the privilege to charge what we call an annual management fee. This could be charged on fund under management and also on every activities that trustees carried out on behalf of a trustee. Please, I want you to have it in mind that the charges we charge is not something that will scare anybody. It's something that we charge on base to base cases. So that is how it is. I'm happy as you listen to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fundayo. Thank you for explaining what Diaspora Trust is and what it entails. At least from what I got that intention to create a trust must be established, and confidentiality is key when it comes to trust, and it is only the wishes of the settler that will be carried out. I can see some hands already up for questions. We will take your questions. If you want to speak, kindly raise your hand, and if you do not want to speak, you can drop your questions in the chat box. We would respond to it. I can see Madam Funke Okoya. Can you please unmute your mic and ask your question? Thank you, Ma.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and I'm glad that this is actually taking place. And I'm glad to be part of this. Happy to be in this meeting. There's a question that I need to ask. Maybe you can turn to a suggestion at the end of the day. Now, if you remember about 10, 15 years ago, to open an account, was a very rigorous process. Today, in the comfort of your home, within less than 10 minutes, you can open an account. Now, there was something that one of the speakers said where he mentioned that it would take like a week or two. The reality is the kind of environment you operate in. Nigerians are naturally very impatient individuals. Now, when there's that, intention, that drive to open an account, to open a trust account, it's always good to look for a way to ensure that you're able to secure that mandate ASAP. Now, telling me that as a client, okay, it's going to take 2 weeks is not very encouraging. One. Two, my question or my suggestion is there no way we can fast track this process? I know that in the industry, for legal reasons, for documentation and all of that, isn't there something that Cedrus can do to make it, let it be like an innovative structure such that the average individual will say, you know what, I would rather go with Cedrus trustee, knowing fully well that the onboarding process is extremely seamless. Is there a way you can work on this to fast track the process? My advice and my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma. On that situation, Cedrus as a whole, we have all what it takes for us to set up an account even within 24 hours. It buttress to the settlers. All we need is that the settler will just get a checklist from us, populate the checklist, and return back to us. We have a template. We use the templates to prepare the trust deed, and we send same to the settler. So it's buttress to the settler in as much as the settler is willing to provide the information and equally go through whatever trust deed that we provided for him or her, then the trustee could come to life within 48 hours, which I think is something that is very easy. Thank you.
Okay. In addition to that, Madam Funke, thank you very much for that question. In addition to what the facilitator has actually said, at Cedrus today, for every Naira investment, we already have a platform that a client could click in, and within few seconds, if all the documents needed are actually provided online, there's a link through which a customer could open an account ASAP. But for anything outside of the Naira investment, the reason why it takes beyond 24 hours is just because we needed to support whatever investment is done with a trust deed. And the trust deed is the legal document that actually documents all the intention of the trust being created. And these are to actually be drafted and be signed on by the client before we could go. And because of the different jurisdictions that we have, we actually need that interaction and then the conclusion on that document before we establish even on Diaspora Trust, because trust has actually been betrayed in so many ways by people. But the way by which we actually keep ourselves secured and then the client secured is to ensure that the trust deed is in place before we conclude or consummate the trust. And that's one of the reasons why the extension of time. So it's not that we do not have the platform. And we're actually growing. We're already working with our software providers and our IT developers to come up with avenue or a way by which different types of denominations or different types of forex denominations could open an account. So we're doing that, and we'll actually conclude on that in a very, very short while. But while that is being done, we need to ensure that at least the trust deed is completed before we finally consummate or put the trust in place. Very, very important, because documentation is very important. It gives comfort to both the trustee and then the settlor as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, our MD, Mr. Lubusayo Adeniyi. But Funke, do you still have any question?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much, Ma, for your question. And we have a question. We have some questions in the chat box. One from Joy. She asked, what is the advantage of a trust over a written will?
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for your patience and time with us. So to answer the question on the advantages of a trust over a will, the first thing is privacy. While he was presenting, he discussed the benefits of a trust. And one of the things that you will identify with having a trust other than a will is that your arrangement can be kept private for life. So if for any reason the person who is a settlor has reasons why he doesn't want some information out in the public, a trust is a better deal for him. Once you lodge your will and the will is read, it becomes a public document. That means anybody can go to the courts and actually ask for a copy of the will, and they will be able to get it once they go through the right process. But if it's a trust, it's private and it will remain private. So whoever you're giving things to as your beneficiaries can be kept without the whole world knowing about it. Another thing is that you get to enjoy the benefit of professional management because the asset no longer resides with the settlor, is now with the trustee. That means the trustees are able to manage it professionally and they are taking off the burden of that management of the asset away from the settlor. He's able to face his own daily activities and he can even continue to earn more and begin to put more of such funds in the trust deed. And then also when you talk of a trust, so a trust is actually a kind of arrangement that allows you to outsource a lot of things. So you can decide to use your trust to pay school fees, to take care of your beneficiaries who are in Nigeria while you are still in the diaspora. So instead of going to give a family member, say 3-4 million, which they don't know how to handle, you can actually put those assets in the trust and they can begin to enjoy the returns that you get out of that investment that you've made. It continues over a long time. And even if anything happens to the settlor, the trust will still continue to speak, even though the man is no longer alive. So those are the basic differences between a will and a trust. And those are the advantages you get for using a trust rather than a will. So that would be my response to that question.
Thank you, Madam Monisola. Thank you very much for answering the question in total. And we also have a question from Miracle, or rather 2-in-1 question. How easy is it to terminate a trust? Can an investor use his assets under a trust as collateral for a loan?
So basically, one thing about trust is that every trust have 20 years as a lifespan. That is the year for a trust, which simply means at the end of the 20 years is subject to renewal, and the interest or the power to renew is reside with the settlor. So the settlor have the power to renew it. He or she can renew for another 20 years or more as pleases he or she. That is to answer the first question. And the second question, that is it possible to use your trust as a collateral to secure a loan? Yes, it's very possible. I've seen a scenario whereby a settlor who resided in America put a call to me and it was like, for sure, his investment running in Nigeria is in dollar. And I think the investment was way above $50,000 then. And it was like, oh, he's in need of a certain millions of naira, which is far, far low to what was running with us. And good thing is that we were able to do that based on the capacity we have. So all we did was just for us to ensure that it gets the naira that it needs, and the running investment continue to be in the possession of the trustees. And upon payment of his loan, we got the signal that the loan has been paid. And upon payment of his loan, he continued to have access to his dollar investment. And another good thing about it is that in as much as the fund reside with the trustees, it does not necessarily mean that the running investment should stop. Not at all. He still have access to his fund it can still participate part of it if there's any urgent need for the dollar. And which simply means that your running investment, your assets under trustees will as well be used as your collateral to secure a loan. Thank you.
Mr. Ekundayo, for the explanation. Anyone else have any question before we wrap it up? And if you're still pondering on whether or not to join us, which I would advise, okay, we have a question from Mr. Abiodun Bello. He said, do you have a brochure detailing Diaspora Trust products / services you offer? Yes, we actually do, sir. We can share it with you. Also, aside from a trust for a benefit of a third-party beneficiary, are you able to move group of investment into a trust for the benefit of self and others? Do you understand the question, Mr. Ekundayo, sir? He's saying that can you move, if he has an investment somewhere or a group of people who have investment, can they move it into a trust for themselves and others?
Yes, that is very possible. There is a procedure of setting up of the trust. A trust is set up, let's say for instance, if I want to set up my trust, which I've done, all I need to do is just to add the name of the organization, which is CTS / Ekundayo Foundation Festus. So what implies is that an account will be opened in that format with the parent organization, which is the trustees. And in a situation whereby you have a running investment with another place, and you don't want the investment you don't want to terminate such a running investment, all you need to do is just to do an update. You fill an update form with your organization with the present trustee's name, which is going to be CTS / the name of the settlor. So the new account will reflect that, and which simply means that trustees will equally be a signatory to that running investment. Why are we a signatory to the running investment? Is that in a situation whereby the settlor is just a single person, if anything happen to the settlor, in order for us as a trustees to be able to lay a claim on the running investment, we need to be a signatory to the account. Because if we are not a signatory to the account, we will still have to go through the route of a probate, which we are trying to kick against under the trust. Thank you.
Much, sir. We have another question from Mr. Osage Edoro Igoalo. Pardon my pronunciation of your name rather. Do you manage landed property for your clients? If yes, can it be sold and used for a real estate project? What is the percentage of your fees?
So basically, we manage landed property for our customers. All we need to do is just to get the title documents to those property which will reside with us as a trustees, and also we have to confirm how genuine the properties are to ensure that we have the valid properties holding on trust. That is one. And secondly, we can actually convert the landed properties to an estate in as much as the settlor has consented to that. All we need to do is just to sit down together, look at the structure, and look at what he has in mind to put in place. Then we tell him how to go about it. And in terms of fee, our fee, like I said in my presentation, is on case-to-case basis. It's not something like I can just tell you, oh, we charge the sum of XYZ now. And when you come, the trustees have numerous tools to carry it out on your behalf. They will now come back and tell you it is not that same price anymore. So basically, like I said, all we do is we evaluate responsibilities that we are going to carry it out. And we both sit down together, we raise it together, and we agreed on the reasonable charges. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We also dropped a link, a Google Form link in the chat box. Please, you can fill it for us to reach out to you easily, your name, and your email to enable us reach out to you easily. Thank you very much. Please, do we have any other question? Anyone have any other questions so that we can answer you properly and you can be properly guided in terms of your investment in Nigeria? I know that many people are always skeptical bringing in their funds, but with us, you can be rest assured that you are safe. So thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you joining in within your busy schedule, and we are grateful. Okay, MS, we have MS.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Good day, everyone. My question is simple. I just want to ask, when is the right time to have a trust investment?
That question put a smile on my face. You know why I put a smile on my face is that I recall in the Bible, even God had to send a prophet to one of the king that was on his sick bed, I think Ezekiah, that he should put his house in order because he's going to die. And if you look at it, the old man on the sick bed, he did something that really touches my heart. He had to face the wall and plead to God. Now, God, I don't want to die yet. And God now told him that, okay, for this case, he's going to add, I think, additional 14 years to his year on earth. And that simply means that God gave him the grace to put his house in order. And if you look at it, that's formally the genesis of writing of a will and also for one to start his estate plan. In as much as you are working, I tell you the right time is immediately you commence an employment job or your personal business. There's never a reason for you to dilly-dally. The best thing for you to do is just to ensure that the moment you commence your work, all you need to do is, as you started, keep putting your house in order. Like I said earlier on, I said I have my trust in place. Not because I'm afraid of death, not at all. But I just decided that, okay, this is what I preach. This is what I said. This is me. This is all about me. And based on this, I have to lead by example. And in addition to that, I have assurance that if the eventuality happens today, my siblings, my wife and children, they will not have any cause to run a casketer. All they need to do is just to tell me, oh, he has done his best, and they continue from wherever I stop. So finally, I want to assure you that the best thing to do is for you to put your house in order right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ifundayo Financial. Thank you, MS, for your question. Please, who would like to ask any question again? Thank you, everyone, for telling us to reach out to you. We are seeing your messages and we would gladly respond to you effectively. Expect our emails, expect our calls when convenient for you. We would put a call through to you. Thank you, Mr. Ekundayo, our facilitator, for facilitating this webinar. Thank you, Mr. Olubusayo Adeniyi, our MD, for your opening remark. Thank you, Madam Munisola, for your input in the questions. Thank you, everyone. Difference between trust fund and legacy fund from Elijah Deborah.
Difference between a trust fund and a legacy fund. Okay. As the name implies, one could actually set up a trust fund in a way of setting up a private investment trust fund for himself without any trust deed. Anything that has to do with legacy simply means that there is a third party involvement. In that situation, there must be what we tag as a trust deed, to which we define the objective of that legacy. If you look at our topic, diaspora, as the Asura Trust is a way of building generational legacy. So for you to build generational wealth, you need to spell it out in the trust deed. Without a trust deed, you cannot pass whatever you want to the next person conveniently. And what we are preaching is that in as much as you are able to set up a trust, to set up a trust with a trust deed, then the transfer of your asset to your listed beneficiary will be seamless. But if you just have a fund in your trust fund, That only means that you are only doing a pure investment. You don't have a trust deed. And it will not be easy for the trustees to honor an instruction to a third party. That is just the difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ekundayo. Thank you, Deborah. Please, do we have any further questions? Okay, without further ado, so that everyone can go about their business, and we really appreciate everyone for joining in, and we would continue to be here to serve you better and ensure your wealth grows exponentially, very well, to a very large extent, and that is effective, and you would not regret employing us in as your trustee. We have a question from Mr. Valentino. He says, how will a trust keep a settler's business going when he dies? Mr. Falonsha, would you like to answer that?
Yes, I'm always available to. The going concern of an organization reside in the hand of the trustees, in as much as the properties under the trust is registered with the trustees. And there's one good thing about this, and that is that the properties under the trust will avail with the trustees. So in that situation, there's something we call a family trust. If we put a family trust in place, the going concern of the business will be perfectly be carried out by the trustees. So what that simply means is that the family trust enable the trustees to come on to the board of that organization. The trustee will be part of the board in terms of decision making, in terms of opinion, in terms of anything, the trustee will form part of it. And in as much as trustees are part of the running of the business, I can tell you that such a business will never have an end. It will continue to run and run in as much as the world continue to remain. Thank you.
Before we close for the day, can I ask if anybody can remind us about the three parties to a trust? Let me also ask a question from our audience. There is an incentive for the person that gets it right first. Can anybody help us answer that question? Who can tell us the three parties? You can just put it in the chat box. The three parties to a trust, as he mentioned in his presentation. Oh, Mr. Osage got it right. We'll reach out to you. So I'm going to give you a discount on your private trust fee when you come in to set up with us. Somebody should please note that and make sure that he gets what is due to him. Thank you very much for that very prompt answer. Over to you, Ayotomi.
Thank you, everyone, for joining into our conversation for today. I know I've been saying thank you for joining in to close out, and we have to close now because we know everybody is busy, and we appreciate everyone's joining. We'll reach out to everyone accordingly from the brochure and for you to end up signing up with us. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.